Hi, everyone. As everyone's coming in, I'm just going to give it a minute or two, and then we will dive right in. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Monday. So nice outside. So just put a 1 in the chat if you can see me and you can hear me. I just want to make sure that everyone can hear. Oh, I don't know what I just did. Huh. Okay, so I see 12 people are on. I'm just going to give it another minute and then we will get right into this presentation. All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and start. So let me just exit my video so I can see the full screen. All right, so today's presentation is called Establishing Your Brand Online. And I'm going to give you a whole ton of information about what that actually means and then what you can do to go ahead and start creating an online brand. So today we're going to cover how to create an online brand that sells. So I'm going to teach you how to create a killer social media presence. I'm going to teach you how to position yourself as an authority in your niche. I'm going to teach you how to connect with your audience via video. And then finally, I'll teach you how to take advantage of your email list. So before we get into the presentation, I just want to know what your business is, what you do. So I'm going to go ahead and click attendees and unmute. I don't see how to unmute. Hold on. I don't see how to unmute everyone, attendees who can talk. There we go. That should work. So if you can just introduce yourself and let me know what your business is, so that I can make sure that I'm giving relevant examples throughout the presentation. That would be great. Any volunteers?
Yes, good afternoon, Mikaela. I'm Jody Raju speaking. I am a facilitator and I design curriculum and conduct training, which I am excited to say that I'm trying to pivot and do it online. So I'm juggling both as we speak.
Awesome. Anyone else? No other brave souls?
Hi, Mikaela. It's Michelle White.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm the owner of Executives, which is a temporary resource service. I also provide training and organizational programs and workshops, as well as consultancy services.
Awesome.
Work permits, etc.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share?
Hi, Mikaela. It's Kalina. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I just typed a question in the other side. When I log in from my job, it doesn't the sound doesn't come through, so I had to.
Oh, yeah. I don't even see questions.
That's me. But I am Kalina Otterbridge. I work for BEDC, doing mostly financial on the financial side, but I also business, which is Quantify Consulting Services, and I provide financial accounting and bookkeeping services, small to medium-sized businesses, women, and pretty much anyone that needs my services.
Okay. All right. Let's just take a few more. If we can get two to three more, then we'll go ahead and get into the presentation. Anyone else? All right, well, if not, we can just go ahead and dive right in. I'll give it another 10 seconds or so. All right, so I am gonna go ahead and dive in. If you spoke, if you could just go in and make sure that you're muted, so that we don't have any crazy noise. All right. So just before we dive in, if everyone could just put their cell phones on silent, vibrate, just put it to the side so that you can get as much value as possible out of this 1 hour. We might go a little over in terms of Q&A, but I'm good with that. So let me introduce myself. My name is Mikaela Ian. I am a marketing and video coach. I primarily work with womenpreneurs, female entrepreneurs who need help strategically promoting their business and growing it so that they can make the money that they deserve to make. And it all has to do with promoting your business and making sure that you have a marketing strategy that's going to work to help you convert clients. I have 10 plus years in the media marketing industry. I started my career as a journalist. I worked at the Royal Gazette and the Bermuda Sun, and then I segued into public relations and marketing. I worked for the America's Cup. My day job is at Skyport, where I do all the marketing communications. So I've been doing this for a long time and I love it. I also have 10 years experience as on-camera talent, and video marketing is actually my specialty. It's actually so much fun for me to not only create videos, but to help other people create their own videos so that they can utilize the power of video to connect with their audience and to increase their clients and sales. I have a communications and journalism degree. I graduated in 2007, which seems like eons ago at this point. And finally, I'm an online entrepreneur. I've been doing online marketing since the end of October, I want to say. So it hasn't been quite a year yet, but I absolutely love it. I think it's amazing to be able to take your skills, talents, gifts, abilities, and package them and sell them online to people all around the world. Like, I have women all over the world who join my email list. And honestly, I love it. I love being able to connect with people from all around the world. It's absolutely fantastic. So let's just get right into this presentation. So why do you need to create an online brand? The short answer is to reach new clients / customers and ultimately to increase your sales. Because yes, we all go into business because we want to solve a problem for people. But obviously we also want to make money. So reaching new clients, new customers, that's exactly why we need to create an online brand. I'm gonna stop for water and or tea every little bit because when I talk too much, my throat hurts and I don't want to like cough repeatedly. So just giving you a warning there. All right. So how do we actually create an online brand that sells? That's what I'm going to teach you in these 4 steps throughout this training today. So if you have a notebook, great, jot down some notes. If you don't have a notebook, take out your notes app on your phone. I know I said put it to the side, but if you want to take some notes that way, go ahead, and you will get these slides via email from Kelsey. All right, so the first thing that you need to do, the first step in creating an online brand that sells and establishing your brand, is to create a killer social media presence. And I say a killer social media presence because it's not enough to just be on social media. You actually have to have a whole strategy behind it so that you can attract those clients that you want to attract who are going to buy your product, services, and offer. So it's not enough just to say, okay, I have a Facebook page or I have an Instagram page. That's not enough. Like, you have to be very strategic with it in order to grow it. So as you can see in this little graphic on the screen, there's so many different options when it comes to social media. And you might be overwhelmed looking at this, but I'm gonna break it down for you. And it will make a lot of sense to you, I promise. So my first piece of advice is to start with one platform and grow before adding another. Now you may think, why? You might think, okay, I have a business, I should be on YouTube, I should be on Twitter, I should be on Facebook, I should be on Instagram. No, you should not, because if you're going to be on all these platforms, you need to do it very well, and you probably cannot do it very well. I work in online marketing. I cannot do all of them very well because they're not, every single one of them is not my specialty. And you're here in this training today, so I'm gonna take an educated guess that it's not your specialty either. So I suggest starting with one platform and then growing before you add another one. So obviously the most popular platforms that people use these days when it comes to online marketing are both Facebook and Instagram. And they're both very different, even though Instagram is owned by Facebook, and they definitely do attract a different consumer base. So we're gonna go ahead and break that down. So Facebook has 2.38 billion monthly active users. Now that number is absolutely insane to me. 65 million small businesses have said that they use Facebook. A lot of times small businesses will use Facebook instead of having a website so that they can share their products, offers, or services on there. And while that's fine, I highly recommend you have a website, but we'll get into that a little bit later. 74% of marketers say that they actually use Facebook as part of a brand strategy. I'm sure many of you have seen Facebook ads, seen the option to boost your posts and all that kind of stuff. So Facebook is definitely up there in terms of businesses using it for their marketing and brand strategy. Now, the thing about Facebook is it tends to be an older crowd, especially in Bermuda. In my experience, a lot of people are on Facebook in different forums, in different groups, in different marketplaces and that kind of thing. So if your audience tends to skew a little bit older, then Facebook is probably where you should be hanging out and promoting your offers and services and products. But if not, then you should be looking at Instagram. So Instagram has 1 billion monthly active users. So that's a little less than half of Facebook's. But as you can see in the next stat, 68% of those users actually visit Instagram daily. So if you're anything like me, you are on Instagram on a daily basis because A, you love it, and B, you know it is such an amazing platform to grow your business. So 65% of marketers have said that they plan to use Instagram as part of their brand strategy, which is really interesting because you see the 74% of marketers are currently already using Facebook, and now they see Instagram and they see how well it's doing, and they want a piece of that Instagram pie. So the reason that I prefer Instagram to Facebook is that you have much more engagement than you have on Facebook. Instagram has so many different ways that you can engage with your current audience, your potential clients, and just anyone really. You can use a host of different ways to engage with your audience. And we'll get into that when I talk about that a little later. But those are the main two social media platforms that people use. So you kind of just have to decide what works best for you, for your audience, for your brand. If you're starting a business today, I suggest Instagram just because it has just amazing capabilities and the platform is wonderful. I love it. So when you have this social media presence, you've decided you're going to start with Instagram, for instance. What you need to do is clearly articulate who you are, who you serve, and what you offer in your bio. So that tends to be the one-liner that you see in people's bios, because ultimately your Instagram page or your Facebook page, your bio is really like your digital business card. So you want to make sure that that information is relevant to who you are, who you serve, and what you offer. So within that bio, you should have that one line. Absolutely should have it. And you should be able to say it in just one line so that when people come to your page, they know exactly who you are, who you serve, what you offer. Also, you need to include your website because ultimately, and we'll talk about this later, you want to take people from social media to your website. You also want to be including your email so that when people have queries and questions, they can email you. It's better for people to email you than it is to DM you. And then if you have a phone number, like if you are a brick and mortar business or you're a consultancy and you feel comfortable putting out your phone number, then I suggest including that as well. So here is my bio. This is a previous one. This is not my current Instagram bio. So on here, it says marketing and video coach, which is who I am. And then as you see, my handle says @the Mikaela Ian because that's my Instagram name. Now, where it says marketing and video coach, I could put my name there, but I choose not to because it's not relevant because my name is already in the handle. So I suggest you take that space, where I have marketing and video coach. And if you have your name there, I would recommend that you consider putting what you do, because that space actually is searchable. So for instance, if I didn't have at the Mikaela Ian as my handle, maybe my handle is marketing guru BDA, for instance. Then I could put marketing coach and then put a / Mikaela Ian if I wanted to have my name there. So definitely consider utilizing that space so that you actually put what you do rather than have your name, especially if your name is in the handle. And now you see this is the one-liner. This is not my current one-liner. But I teach women entrepreneurs how to master videos so they can grow their online brand and increase their sales. So I'm being very clear about what I do. I teach them. Who do I teach? Women entrepreneurs. What do I teach them? How to master video. So how to master video is my specialty. That's the result. When they work with me, they're gonna master video. And then the benefit or the result of the benefit of working with me is growing their online brand and increasing their sales. So you wanna lay it out in a way that is very clear so that when people come to your page, they know exactly what it is that you do. And then this is optional, but I have my location as Bermuda, which tends to spark a lot of conversation when people message me. And then also I have my website, mikaelaian.com, and then a / to links. And I do it this way because I have a page on my website that has all the links that in one place where you can either contact me, get to know me, learn about my services, or download my freebies. I have a whole freebie resource area. So that is an example of a bio that works well on Instagram. So what you need to do in order to create a killer social media presence is to post valuable content consistently. And you need to engage with your audience. When you do these two things and you do it really well, that's where you're going to see the growth, and that's where you're going to convert clients. So there's no point in being social on social media if you are not going to post. There's no point in having a social media account if you're not going to post at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute. I almost said 10 minutes. I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute, and I want you to pull out your notebook or your notes app, and I want you to brainstorm a list of at least 10 different things that you could post on your social media page. So 10 content ideas at a minimum. If you can get to 20, that's even better. So I'm going to go ahead and put the timer on now. All right, so we've got 20 seconds left. And we've got 10. All right. So in my experience, one of the best ways to create content that's valuable that your audience wants to see is by asking them what they want to see. So if you're on Instagram, I'm sure you have seen Instagram stories or utilized them. You can actually go into Instagram stories and create polls so that your audience can vote on what they want to see. So for instance, just say, let me see, I have a personal trainer on here or a gym owner, April. So just say April wants to create some new fitness classes. So just say she comes up with a list of 6 different classes that she thinks would serve her audience well. What she can do is go into Instagram stories, use the poll option. So when you go in, you press the poll option and you put yes or no, or you could put A or B. And she puts A. Maybe A is booty lifting workouts. Maybe B is tone your arms workouts. And then she continues to do that for all the other ideas that she has. And then her audience will vote on which workouts they like the best. And then she can offer those workouts. Additionally, you can do that when you're creating content as well. So I have an event designer on here. So you can ask your audience what they want. Do they want tips on how to create events on a budget? Do they want to know how to throw parties at home by themselves? Do they want to know the best way to get bang for buck when buying florals? All this kind of stuff, you can put those into your Instagram stories and set it up like a poll so that your audience can vote. And then you create content based on what they want to see. Now, after you've brainstormed content ideas, you have to decide how many times a week you can actually post. If you are not posting on social media right now and you haven't posted in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, please don't tell me that you can post 5 to 7 days a week, because you cannot. You have to be very realistic about this. So if you have not been posting consistently, I highly suggest starting with maybe 3 posts a week to get your consistency back up. And once you've done that for 30 days, then maybe you can add in 5 days a week and get yourself up to 7 days, but make sure that it's realistic and it's something that you can actually commit to. So after you've done that, then you can go ahead and create a content strategy. And the word strategy kind of gets overwhelming to people, but it really is simple. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's simple. So the way that I approach creating a content strategy is looking at the content ideas that I came up with when I did my brainstorm. So what you want to do is, I'm trying to think, who else do I have on this call? So Kalina is a finance expert. So maybe she has 3 different buckets of content. Maybe one is bookkeeping, maybe one is personal budgeting, maybe one is ensuring your clients pay on time. I don't know. So maybe those are like her 3 buckets. And then she comes up with content ideas under each one of those buckets. So you should be able to come up with at least 10 content ideas for each bucket. So then if you're going to post 3 days a week, you assign each content theme to a day, and then you post your content that way. So that's your content strategy. It's really that simple. Once you've done your brainstorming list, and I highly suggest you do it again and maybe do it for 15 minutes, one day this week, if not after the call. So you sit there and you come up with all the different content ideas that you have, and then assign it to different content categories. And then that's how you go ahead and create your content strategy. So it's not difficult, it's very simple. It just takes some time to actually sit and brainstorm the ideas and then assign it to the buckets, and then you go from there. So then you have to actually commit to your strategy. So once you're creating these content buckets, I highly suggest that you come up with posts that you want to do within those buckets. So let me see who else is on this call. So if someone's in, let's go back to the personal trainer suggestion. So just say that April will regularly post about nutrition tips, for instance. Maybe she's doing nutrition tips on Mondays, and maybe she's doing how to work out at home on Wednesdays, and then on Friday she's talking about all the benefits of working out. Maybe those are her 3 content themes. So then what you do is you create posts from those content themes. And then that's how you form your strategy, and then you commit to your strategy. So once you've done these things, I highly suggest you commit to 30 days. So that's why I say start out at posting 3 days a week, and not trying to post 5 to 7 days a week, because then that gets super, super overwhelming, and you don't want it to get overwhelming. So your content should be a mix of inspirational and educational. Because you are an expert, and we're going to dive into that in a little bit, you should be educating your audience. You should be teaching something. They should be coming to your page and learning something, whether it's how to do something or you're walking them through something. And then you also want to inspire them. I highly suggest you keep the posts about yourself at a minimum, unless it directly relates to your business. So in order to grow your accounts, you actually need to nurture your followers in order to keep them around. So these 2 things go hand in hand: posting valuable content consistently and engaging with your audience. So like we said earlier, post content your ideal clients want to see. This is key. You can consistently post content 5 days a week, but if it's not going to resonate with your ideal clients, then you're wasting your time. Another way to engage with them is to actually reply to their comments on your post. There's been so many times that I've commented on things and I've never gotten a reply. And that's just really disheartening, because we are on social media to be social. So make sure that you are replying to comments that are on your post. Additionally, you can send a DM to people in order to create a relationship. So I suggest doing this when you have people who are generally liking your post, generally commenting, you can send them a quick message and say, hey, thank you so much for liking that post. What specifically stood out for you? Or if you get a new follow, I had a couple new follows on my Instagram today, and I sent each one of them a message thanking them for following me. And then I compliment them on something to do with their business or whatever's on their feed, because you're nurturing them and you're engaging with them because you want to create a relationship. So also you want to go ahead and like and comment on their post. So you don't want to just reply to what they put on your post. You want to go in and like and comment on their post. Everybody wants to feel the love on social media. And an easy way to do that is just by liking and commenting on your followers' post. Because ultimately, when you're trying to build a brand online, you want to build a tribe. You want to build a database, if you will, of people who love you and love what you put out so that they'll buy your products when they actually come out. And then you can also send them a link to free resources. So the other day, I actually had a friend, an online friend of mine, she created a new free training. She sent me the link to it. I thought you would like this. Go ahead and tap the link if you are interested in it. So I did, and I signed up for the training, and it's a great training. So that kind of stuff people love to receive, as long as you make it personal and you don't do like a whole copy and paste, because people know when things are copy and pasted and they know that you're not actually engaging with them because you're just sending it to everybody. So be thoughtful when you are engaging with your audience so that you can nurture them. And then you want to get to know your followers, and you do this by liking and commenting on their posts. You want to know like at least one or two things about the people who follow you and the ones who comment on your stuff all the time, because again, that's how you nurture the relationship. You don't only want to be talking to them when you have something to sell, because then the relationship isn't going to be authentic. So step 2, position yourself as an authority. Ultimately, we all want to be experts in our industry. And if you are doing something and you do it well, you are an expert. So I think a lot of people feel like in order to be known as an expert, you have to have been doing something for a really long time, or you have to have a PhD or some sort of certifications. And in certain industries, yes, you do have to have certifications. Yes, in order to be a medical expert, you have to have gone to medical school. But ultimately, you just really need to be a couple steps ahead of the people that you are helping in order to position yourself as an authority. And in order to position yourself as an authority, you got to teach people things. You have to share immense value. So the first step in this is developing the know, like, and trust factor. This is key when you are selling in the online space, because you want people to know, like, and trust you. So get people to know who you are and what you do. I think that says do. My control panel's in the way. But you really want people to get to know you in this social space. And when they get to know you, then they get to like you. And in order for people to get to like you, you need to be relatable. And an easy way to be relatable is by sharing your story, sharing that valuable, meaningful content that's gonna position you as an authority. And then you need to showcase your expertise to develop the trust so that they can buy from you. I'm not sure the last time you bought something online, but the last time I bought something online, I definitely knew the person, I definitely liked them, and I trusted them to deliver what they said they were going to deliver. I've never bought anything online from anyone who I didn't know, like, or trust. And they went through all of these steps to create this know, like, and trust factor. Because ultimately, when people are parting with their money and they're pulling out their credit card to buy something on your website, you kind of have to back up whatever you say it is that you do. Otherwise, you're going to get a bad rap and you're going to get bad reviews. So make sure that you can develop that know, like, and trust factor. And then you really just want to be the go-to person for your niche. So if you are making crafts, I know there's someone in here who I want to say it's crochet. Make sure you're the go-to person for that. Make sure your products are amazing and you have people talking about how amazing they are. If you're a personal trainer or you own a gym, make sure you're the go-to person for that. Maybe you train with women over 40 or women over 50, I'm not really sure, but be the go-to person for that niche. And you do that by positioning yourself as an authority. And another way to position yourself as an authority is to be the face of your brand. There are a lot of people who run businesses and you don't know who's behind the business. You don't know who the owner is. You have no connection to the brand because there's no human element to it. And ultimately, people buy from those that they like. No like and trust factor. People do business with people that they like. There are plenty of people doing everything online. There are tons of fitness trainers, tons of financial experts, tons of marketing coaches, tons of nutritional people. There's the health coaches, life coaches. There's so much online. And so people do business with people that they like, and you get that likability factor by being the face of your brand. So if you're concerned about coming on social media and doing videos because you're scared of that, that's a mindset thing, and that's something that you're gonna have to get over, because you need to connect with people. You have to connect in order to grow this know, like, and trust factor. And that ultimately is how you're gonna position yourself as an authority. So like I said, people buy from those they know, like, and trust. That is just a fact. So all these steps here are gonna help you position yourself as an authority. So when you are looking at creating content for your social media, make sure that the content that you're creating is educational and inspirational. Make sure that everything that you do, you're positioning yourself as an authority. When I create videos, I make sure that the topics that I'm talking about in my videos showcase my expertise, because ultimately I want to be known for helping women strategically promote and grow their businesses. And if they want to do that through video marketing, I'm the girl to help them out with, because I am an authority in this industry. All right, just take a sip of tea real quick. So step 3 in establishing your brand online and creating this brand that sells is using video to connect. Now, I feel like so many people are scared of video, and video is honestly one of the best ways to convert clients. It's one of the best ways to grow your business. It's one of the best ways to connect with your audience and your future audience. So social media videos are actually shared 1,200% more times than text and photos combined. Yes, combined. So think about how many times you share videos rather than sharing a quote box or a photo. Videos are powerful, and you definitely want to be tapping in to this medium. So viewers retain 95% of a video message. So a video, if I'm teaching you something by a video, you're going to retain that 95% versus if I send you a blog post and you're reading it. So if I did a whole presentation on this, what I'm talking to you about right now, and it was all written, you're only going to retain 10% of that versus 95% because I am on the camera and I'm teaching it to you. So one of the ways that you can use video is to share your brand story. So like I said, people like people who are relatable and people who are vulnerable. And a way that you can do that is by sharing your brand story. And when I say your brand story, you can share the story of why you decided to start your business. Maybe you have a story of you borrowed $1,000 from your mom to start your photography business and it took off and now you're making 400 grand a year. You know, share those stories. Maybe it's you were broke and desperate and you just got fired from your job and you started a business and now you successfully help women control their budgets and their financing, whatever it is. Find that story and share it, because people love that kind of stuff. There is this Instagram influencer / course creator, her name is Jenna Kutcher, and she has a story where she bought a $300 camera off of Craigslist, and she started a self-taught photography business, and now she runs a 7-figure business. People love that. People can identify with that because they feel like, wait a minute, that could be me. I could do that, and you could do that. So definitely consider sharing your brand story and sharing it via video, because people like people who are relatable and people who are vulnerable. So if you're not comfortable being in front of the camera, and a lot of people are not comfortable being in front of the camera, I recognize that. So what you can do is you can shoot behind the scenes videos. So if you are a trainer and you are in the gym, you can do a time lapse of a training session with your client, or you can do a time lapse of preparing healthy meals. And that sort of thing can go in your IG stories. The person in here, I can't remember her name, who crochets and does crafts. You can do a time-lapse video of you creating your crafts, and that way you are showing video but you don't have to necessarily be in front of the camera, and you don't have to talk to the camera if that's not something you're comfortable with. Plus, ultimately, we all like behind the scenes stuff. Everybody is pokey. Everybody likes to know what other people are doing. We like to see the processes behind the pretty pictures and the pretty videos. So behind the scenes stuff works really, really well on social media. And my favorite way to use video is to teach your audience something. So what I do and what I encourage my clients to do when they book sessions with me is to utilize video to teach your audience something. So just say, I know I have someone in architect who's an architect on here, but I don't really know much about architecture, so I'm not going to do that as an example. So we have an event designer. Okay, I can do that one. So if you want to teach your audience how to create a wedding on a budget, for instance, that could be your subject. And then what you do is you come up with 2 to 3 points to teach them how to do this. And you do this in a short, succinct video. Or again, I'll go back to the trainer example. Maybe you're doing a short video sharing 3 workouts that you can do at home to keep your legs toned, and you talk them through this. You teach them these 3 points. You do it short. You do it concise, and they leave with a massive takeaway because you've showed up on video and you've taught them something. And so I love using video to teach your audience. Another way that you can use video, oh, let me just step back a little bit. So when you use videos on social media, you need to make sure that they're short. It's around the 2-minute mark that people start to drop off. So you have to get them in the first 10 seconds and then keep their attention up until the 2-minute mark. So anything longer than 2.5 minutes is too long. So if you get to that point where your video is like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, then I highly suggest you take the information that you have put in the videos and make them into a video series. So instead of doing 2 to 3 points to support your main point, maybe you're doing 1 point per video so that you can keep it short and succinct. So another way to use video to connect with your audience is to go on IG Live or Facebook to do a tutorial. So a lot of people have been doing these as we've all been in this whole shelter in place, stay at home over the past, 2 months now. So IG Live has been really, really popular. And a lot of people do it. Again, you can go in there to teach your audience something, or you can do a tutorial. I've seen a lot of trainers hopping on IG Lives to do workouts. I've seen life coaches hopping on Facebook Lives to help people who are coping with being home right now with their kids, etc. I've seen chefs go on and teach people how to cook meals, all this kind of stuff. So there's so much that you can do, but when you go on IG Live or Facebook Live, you have to bear in mind that you want to give away a little bit. You don't want to give away everything because ultimately you want people to still buy your product or service. So maybe you are doing if you're a trainer, a 15-minute workout on IG Live, but then you're offering a paid product and it's something different. So another way that you can use video without necessarily doing straight to camera is to do screen recording. So if you have an iPhone, you can do a screen recording. And you can use this to show customers how to make purchases on your website, or maybe you just launched a website and you want to take customers through the process, or how to book a service, or if you are a chef and you want to teach customers, how to go on and go through the various packages and offerings and services that you have, you can do a screen recording for that. And you can share it in the stories of Instagram, and that works really, really well. And then finally, in terms of video, you can create virtual offerings, both free and paid. So this is a virtual class. I could have taught this in a classroom if it were not for COVID, or a boardroom or whatever. But we're all home, and doing virtual workshops is a really good way to use video to connect with people, and then you can charge a fee for it. Now, like I said, you can do these free and paid. So maybe I'm hopping on Instagram and sharing 2 ways to build a killer social media presence, for instance. That's only a little bit of this workshop. That's not the entire workshop. So then the paid is this whole workshop. Maybe you are a makeup artist, for instance, and you're doing an IG Live on how to tweeze your eyebrows to keep them intact while the waxing places are closed, for instance. But then maybe you're doing a virtual workshop on Zoom on how to do a day-to-day makeup look, and you charge people $20 or something like that. But there's definitely ways to do this. I'm not sure if you guys were on Instagram over Easter, but Kamala from Sweet Sack, she actually offered an IG live on how to make Johnny bread, and she gave the recipe. But then she had a virtual workshop on how to make hot cross buns at home. And on that first call, she had, I think it was 70 people on the call. So that just goes to show, yes, people want to learn how to make Johnny bread, but on Easter when all the bakeries are closed, yes, we want to learn how to make hot cross buns, and people paid for access to that workshop on Zoom, and she literally walked you through how to make these buns, and it was absolutely fantastic. And the demand was so high that she actually did another one the next day. So you just have to determine what you want to give away for free versus what you want people to pay for. There's so many things that you can do doing virtual offerings, both free and paid. You just have to decide what works for you and works for your brand. All right, so I just want to leave this with you when it comes to video, because it really is a mindset thing. A lot of people think that they cannot do video. People think that, oh, I don't know how to get started, or I don't have a tripod, or I don't have a background. And ultimately that comes back to mindset, because you can truly start with what you have right now, as long as you are committed to doing it and you feel like, yes, I can do this, I will get better, because you will get better. You will get better over time as long as you do it consistently. You can't post one video today and then not post the video again for another month and then expect to be better, because you're not. You just have to do it consistently. So video is the future, and the future is now. Don't let your business become outdated by not utilizing this powerful tool. Video is a great way to connect, and I would highly encourage you to start utilizing video for your business, even if you're just hopping on Instagram stories. Do it, just do it. Share whatever it is that you do. Introduce yourself to your audience, but do it. Now, step 4 is take advantage of your email list. Now, I know we've been talking about social media, and social media is super important, absolutely. But you want to take people from being followers to subscribers, because the email list is where the money is, and it's easier to convert someone via email than it is to convert them via social media. So in case you don't know what an email is or you don't have it, it's basically a list of people who subscribe to hear from you. So maybe they went on your website and you had a join my list and they signed up, or maybe they signed up for some free offering or free training or something. But it's just a list of people who want to hear from you. So the most common way to get on someone's email list is to give them your email in exchange for a freebie. And when I say freebie, there are so many different things, but the key with a freebie is that it has to be something of value in order for me to give you my email. So it can be a PDF, and when I say a PDF, I mean a checklist, I mean a guide, a cheat sheet, maybe it's an ebook, anything like that that's in a PDF form, a written form. It can also be an audio lesson. Maybe you are an author and you give away chapter 1 of your book via an audio lesson as a freebie to give people an incentive to buy your book. Maybe it's a video lesson. Maybe you've taken your ebook, and maybe the ebook has 4 chapters, and instead of you just delivering it as an ebook, you've taken that up and created a video lesson off of those 4 chapters. People love that kind of thing. Or maybe it's a free training, like a webinar, and you've signed up for that kind of thing. Or you've created a webinar to get people's emails. I've done webinars and they work really, really well. Also, I didn't put on here, a lot of times people do challenges and they grow their email list with challenges as well. That's the first freebie that I did, and that really helped me to grow my list. So like I said, conversion rates are much higher in email. So on social media, it's about 2 to 5% of people that actually see your post or engage in your post, versus on an email, the average open rate is 20 to 30%. So like my emails, I generally get 29 to 34%, thereabouts. So as you can see, it's much, much higher. So these are people that are actually opening the emails that you sent to them. So they're more likely to click on your links than the people on social media who actually have to go into your bio to click your link. I'm just gonna have some water, my throat hurts. So email lists work really well when you actually use it as a VIP spot for your audience. So you want to make sure that your audience feels special because they've given you your email. Yes, they've gotten something of immense value from you, whatever it is that your freebie was, but you want to make sure that you treat them like VIPs. Like when I offer a product or service, I generally will give it to my email list first. And if I don't give it to my email list first, I will give them a special discount code because they are on my VIP list. So your VIP list is a great place to nurture your community, because ultimately when you nurture your community, that's going to equal sales. When people feel special, when they feel like you've taken the time out to get to know them and provide value, they already know you, they like you, and they trust you, so they're more likely to buy from you. Now, if you don't have an email list already, here are some options. MailChimp, a lot of people use that when they start. I used MailChimp when I started, but I outgrew it probably in a couple months. There are free and paid options. Constant Contact is also a free and paid option. I know people who love it. I personally use Simplero, and I use Simplero because it's an all-in-one. It is an email service provider. It links with Authorize.net, which Bermuda banks can use as a payment gateway. I house my courses on there. I also have products on there if I wanted to do a membership site, all of that kind of stuff. So I love Simplero. It does cost, I want to say $89 a month. I can't remember, but for me, it's worth it because it's everything in one place, and I can create landing pages on it, all of it. So that works well for me. So if you're interested in that, let me know and I can send you the link for that. But basically, you just want to take advantage of your email list so that you can build your brand. So it's not enough to just have a list. You have to actually engage with your VIPs. So I highly suggest sending out a newsletter or an email at least twice a month. Every week is good. It just depends on what you can commit to. I generally will do 2 to 3 times a month. If I'm super ambitious, I will do every week. It just depends. But you want to engage with them regularly. You want to make sure that they are receiving value from you. So whether you're sending them the link to your podcast that dropped this week, or your blog post, or your vlog, or maybe you're sending them your newest freebie that you have and you just attach it to the email, or maybe you are sending them a link to a free training that you're doing. And then of course, when you have a launch coming up, or you're having offers and services and products, you want to make sure that you send that to your list, and you send it multiple times, because people need to see something 7 to 21 times in order for it to resonate. So you can't send them something once and then expect them to get it, because they're not. So you have to engage with your VIPs on a regular basis so that when you actually have a launch, they're not like, oh, wait, who's this person? She never emails me and now she wants me to buy something. You want to make sure that you are nurturing that relationship. So when it's time for purchases, they're ready to pull out their credit card. So we are at the end of the training. So I'm just going to do a quick recap before we go into Q&A. So the first thing that we learned was create a killer social media presence. And you're going to decide what platform you're going to focus on, because you can't focus on everything. You have to really pick one platform, stick with it, nurture it, grow it. And in order to do that, you have to post valuable content consistently, and not just any content that your audience actually wants to see. And you do that by asking them what they want to see. And you can also do this, by creating content based on questions that your audience asks you. And then the second part of creating a killer social media presence is to engage with your audience, actually like and comment on their posts, reply to their comments, reply to their DMs, send them links to resources that you have. Whatever it is that you have to do, but make sure that you engage with them and nurture that audience. Secondly, we talked about positioning yourself as an authority. And in order to position yourself as an authority, you have to develop that know, like, and trust factor, because people buy from those they know, like, and trust. Additionally, you want to make sure that you are the go-to person for your niche so that you become top of mind. When someone's looking for a trainer, you're top of mind. When someone's looking for a marketing person, you're top of mind. Or when someone's looking for someone to do their books, you're top of mind. And then you also want to connect with your audience via video. You want to teach them things. You want to share time lapses. You want to tell your brand story. You want to show up in IG stories. You want to poll them as well. But make sure that you are not skipping out on video, because it is such a powerful tool, and you are absolutely leaving money on the table if you're not using video to connect with your audience. And then finally, we learned about taking advantage of your email list. So creating valuable freebies to get people in the door, to give you their email, and then treating those people like VIPs when they do give you their email, and then not only emailing them every now and then, or emailing them when you have a launch, emailing them on a regular basis to nurture that relationship. So I hope this was super helpful. I'm gonna now open this up for Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself and I'd be happy to answer them. Oh, and here's all my contact information if you needed to reach out to me afterwards.
Hi, Mikaela.
Hi.
It's Michelle here. When I'm looking at some of the social media, I use LinkedIn and Facebook, and they always have those counts. They've got your total likes, your total views, whether the person's engaged or not. And what I don't know is looking at those numbers and determining what is it that people are liking, if you know what I mean. So, because it could have one like, but 2 engages. It can have 1,000 views, but 1 engage.
So are you talking about, I'm sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you, sorry. Are you talking about on a post, or are you talking about your page?
On a post, mostly on a post.
Okay, so, excuse me, if you post a video, 1,000 people could have seen it, but engagement means maybe 2 people liked it, or maybe 2 people commented on it, or 2 people shared it.
Right. So is there value in at least people looking at it 1,000 times?
I mean, yes, there's value. You want to make sure that you have brand awareness, but ultimately you want people to engage. I know this is controversial, but likes don't matter. They don't matter at all. People pressing the like button is doing nothing to grow your business. It's doing nothing to grow your wallet. You want to engage. Right. Engagement is key. Reach is important, but engagement is where it is, because when people comment on your post, you can reply to them, and then you can extend the conversation in the DM.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I was just through across the different meetings, I was kind of getting confused sometimes in terms of what on earth they were talking about.
Okay, I mean, if you want to send me an example, go. You can just email it to me and I can have a look. Like if you wanted to screenshot something and send it to me, I'd be happy to have a look.
Okay, super. Thanks.
Cool. Anyone else? I know there were a lot of people who answered the questions that Kelsey sent out. So now is absolutely the opportunity to ask those questions and get an answer on here.
Hi, Mikaela. I'm Jody Varger from Organized Solutions Bermuda. Thank you very much, first and foremost.
No worries.
The question that I have is, when you create your marketing plan and you have your buckets and your categories, and I would imagine a schedule.
Yeah.
2 questions. Number 1, sometimes I find, say, an article that comes up, and I kind of, save it for a bit and say, okay, I'm going to, post it XYZ time, and then maybe I never do it. What happens when articles become a bit outdated? Are they seen as, you just missed the boat on it? Because I sometimes feel that I tend to pivot a bit too slowly, and I feel like I've missed the boat, and then I feel like, well, maybe it's not the right time to post that article because it's too old, for example.
So what kind of article do you mean? Because I'm a firm believer in creating your own content.
Sure. So it could be an article that talks about how to, one of the things I do is coaching with organization and decluttering. So it could be an article about how to use this time wisely in COVID-19 to declutter your home, for example, if I found something that I wanted to pass along. But taking your point about creating my own content as well.
Yeah, I think that you can be inspired by what other people do. Everyone has done what everyone does. No one's reinventing the wheel, right? So if you've read an article and it inspires you, create your own content. Like if you've read 4 Ways to Declutter Your Home during COVID-19, use that as inspiration to create your own post to do that. That's what I would suggest. I mean, there is a tool, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, it's called Canva, C-A-N-V-A.
Yes.
So you can go on and create things like that in Canva. I do it all the time. And like I did a post on Friday, I want to say, and it was, hold on. And I did a post, 4 ways to promote yourself more consistently. And I have a cover image with that, and then I have you post it as a carousel, so it's 5 different graphics, and I'm sharing 4 ways that you can promote yourself more consistently right now. So that's the kind of post that you can put, because ultimately you want your post to be shareable, so that you can get in front of new audiences.
Gotcha.
So that's what I would suggest. I mean, if you want to go ahead and post an article, if you see something and you want to post it to Facebook, great. But ultimately, you should be creating your own content so that you can be positioning yourself as an authority. If you're constantly sharing other people's content, people aren't going to look at you as the authority figure, because where's your original content?
Certainly, certainly. And you know, that's interesting because when I think about sharing content, I always have thought about it having to be something lengthy. But what I'm hearing is that it doesn't have to be lengthy.
No.
And shorter and to the point, you know, is more punchy.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that.
No worries.
Mikaela, Michelle again. Piggybacking on Jody. So if you find a post that inspires you, like the 2 points, 3 points, 5 points, and you spin it to make it your own, do you not have to acknowledge that it came from elsewhere? I mean, I may be the expert today, but I'm using material that I've picked up from elsewhere.
No, I wasn't suggesting that you use their material. I was suggesting that you be inspired. I mean, you are more than welcome to create a post and then tag the account that inspired you. You can absolutely do that. I get inspired all the time when I scroll through social media and I see different things that different people are doing. For instance, if a graphic designer puts up a post on 4 things your website should have, or something along those, 4 ways to create a logo by yourself, for instance. I don't create, I'm not in graphic design, but that's inspiring me to then create one of my own posts that work well for my niche and my audience.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I absolutely do not suggest stealing from people, but you can absolutely be inspired by other people's content and then create your own content because of that inspiration.
Okay, because I do find some posts, and then when I would like it or whatever the case might be, and I may make a comment or I may share it back up, but then put my verbiage on the top of the post. But of course, the original link is there.
Right. No, that's fine. I'm just a big fan of sharing your content because you want to be positioning yourself as an authority. You want to be as the go-to person for your industry. So if you are consistently sharing other people's content, you're not helping yourself, because you're being counterproductive, essentially.
Okay, gotcha.
You're trying to share things on an occasional basis, but make sure that you have somewhere that you're creating your own content that you can share your own. If you're writing blog posts, make sure you're sharing those. If you're doing videos, make sure you're sharing those so that you can be known as the expert in your niche.
Okay, and that Canva is C-A-N-V as in Victor A.
Yes, canva.com. You can use the free option, which is great, or you can do the pro option, which is $12.95 a month or something. But it is every online creator's dream, because not everyone can afford a graphic designer. Like this presentation I created in Canva. Canva's just amazing. You can create social media posts, you can create presentations, invoices, resumes, ebooks, anything you can possibly think of, you can create it in Canva.
Okay, super. Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions? If you have one, just unmute yourself.
Michaela, Jody, oh, sorry, go ahead. I'll let the other person ask the question.
No, it was just me, Jody. It's you and I pinging back and forth.
Oh, it's you, Michelle? Okay.
You can take a turn. Go ahead.
Hey, Mikaela.
Hi,
Hey, it's Jen Ward here. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Great. Exciting stuff, but I'm just wondering if you have some tips on best ways to like get into doing the videos, because that's sort of my weakness. I teach Zumba. I'm really, you know, all fine in front of the camera, Zoom classes, but sort of held back on the like how to get my face to the brand more so, because I'm not that kind of person. That's not my personality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that you, it really ultimately is a mindset thing. You have to, and I don't like to say this because it's like, it's a trigger thing, but ultimately, if you're thinking about yourself too much, you're not thinking about the people that you're serving, right? So we're being a little bit selfish if we're not sharing our talents, gifts, and abilities. So if you aren't doing video because you have your own personal hangups, you're kind of being a little bit selfish and a little bit narcissistic, because people generally aren't thinking about us. We think people are thinking about us. People have an opinion on the way that we sound, or the way that our mouth moves, or the way that our nose twitches, but they don't. They don't.
Right.
So I think it's just, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking, like, do you think, like, I think I've been held back on thinking like they had to be like, you know, all staged, exactly what you were saying. Like, I don't have a tripod, I don't have a ring light. Oh my gosh.
So I highly suggest you go to my website. If you go to mikaelaian.com/links, it's in my Instagram bio as well. I have a free resource library, and I have an entire video marketing guide to get you started.
Oh dear.
So go ahead and
Look
get
out.
that down. I also have a video resource checklist, and I give you the links to exactly what I have that I use at home to make videos. So definitely check out that resource library, and if you need any further help, just shoot me an email or a DM.
That's awesome.
And I'd be happy to chat with you. But you just have to get out of your head. You have to think about the people that are gonna benefit from you sharing your knowledge, and I guarantee you that will help you, because they don't care. I promise you, they're not.
And
Even if they're judging you, they're gonna judge you anyway. So it's like, whatever.
Truth. Thanks.
You're welcome. Jody, you still there?
I am, yes.
Okay.
The other question I had was, is there a program that allows you, if it makes sense, to post, say I posted on Facebook and I wanted to also go to Instagram, because whenever I give and deliver, like I've started doing my virtual presentations, I find I go to, you know, Facebook, and then I, you know, go to another site. Is there something that does it all at once, or do you suggest keeping it separate?
So I prioritize Instagram. If I do post on Facebook, it's secondary. I know that you can use Hootsuite to do this kind of stuff. But my friend, it just depends on what you're going to focus on. If Facebook is your focus, then focus on Facebook and look at Instagram as secondary. It just depends, but you can schedule things. I like to post things organically. I generally have I have a 5-week content strategy, and I rinse and repeat that content strategy. So for me, it's like I never have to schedule anything, because, okay, today is Monday the 25th. Let me go into my spreadsheet and see what I'm supposed to post about today. Okay, cool, that's done. You know, and because I've taken out the time to sit and come up with a strategy that works for myself and my brand, so I don't ever have to schedule content, because I already have it done. But if you want to schedule things, you can definitely do Hootsuite. But I'm more of a fan of organically posting stuff. I just like it that way.
Sure. No, and I love the idea of the scheduling piece of it, and the organic piece makes sense as well, because it ties into what's happening globally and what's happening in communities. And, I think the creativity and inspiration can come that way as well. So
yeah, I definitely think that if you have a schedule, and I mean, if you do a 4-week schedule, or even if you do a 2-week schedule, it just takes the guesswork out of it, because I know a lot of people find social media labor intensive or cumbersome. But that's because they don't have a strategy. If you have a strategy, if you're not winging it, then it's so much easier for you, because you literally just go. Like, I literally have a document that has my different content category buckets and all that kind of stuff. And I just go to that document, and then I take the caption that I want to post for that day, and I post it with whatever photo I want to use, and I rinse and repeat, because it's not rocket science. And B, people need to see something 7 to 21 times in order for it to resonate. So if I shared a post 3 weeks ago, I highly doubt you remember the caption for that post. So I'm going to use that caption again. I'm just going to switch up the headline a little bit. But it's just coming up with something that works well for you. But I am a big believer in not making social media super overcomplicated, because then it takes the fun out of it. And if you wanted to talk more about this, just let me know. But it just makes it so much easier to approach it. Then you don't have to think about scheduling things. You don't have to think about, okay, what goes on Facebook, what goes on Instagram? Oh, what's Hootsuite? Did I put the right thing in today? And all that kind of stuff.
got you. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mikaela, to carry on with that same conversation.
Sure.
When scheduling these posts, and it certainly sounds, if I'm interpreting correctly, it sounds a heck of a lot easier than how I've been spending some of my time. So if you have a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you know what it is that you're going to post for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever the case might be. And so it's just that one post.
Yes.
And so Monday you do that one post at a particular time, I'm assuming. And come Wednesday, you'll do whatever Wednesdays, and you just go on like that. And then, like you said, rinse and repeat, and not really worry about, because I think that's where I get up in my head also, is with how many times that do you need to be seen as being visible and viable. Right. And here's a question to add on top of it. My question was regarding logos also.
Okay, can I answer the first part first and then come back to the? Okay. So if you're gonna do 3 days a week, I suggest you take your content bucket. So come up with your 3 content themes.
Yes.
And then you brainstorm your ideas under those content themes, or you do your brainstorm first and then create the content buckets from those. And then I would highly suggest, so just say, I don't know, so for content theme 1, you create at least 4 captions. Content theme 2, 4 captions. Content theme 3, 4 captions. That way you have a month of content.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then what you're gonna do after that, the next month, you can take that same content that you've already posted last month and switch up the headlines. So switch up the first line, because again, it takes someone 7 to 21 times for something to resonate. So I share my brand story. I mean, I introduce myself regularly, maybe once a month. I talk about how I used to be terrified to do video at least once a month. I talk about like financial freedom all the time. You know what I mean? So it's taking these posts, these captions that you've done, and making them work for you, so that you're not having to spend all this time trying to figure out what to do in social media. And then if you have that laid out already, like you have content theme 1 and you have 4 captions, and you have a Word doc, content theme 2, 4 captions, then you just literally go into that document and copy and paste, and there you go.
Yeah.
It just makes it easier. And then what was your second part?
I had a question regarding logos or visible identifying symbolisms about who it is that you or your business are and what you're about and that sort of thing. Some people put a lot of emphasis on whether or not, do you have a logo? Do you have a logo? And I'm not there yet, but where do I put that in the level of importance when it comes to branding, marketing, that sort of thing?
Okay, so my coach makes over 300 grand a year and has no logo. She's
Okay.
got a logo and it's not important to her. I don't have a logo because I don't feel it's necessary. I think it's more important to determine your brand identity.
Mhm.
So what your core values are, what you believe, what you want to be known for, what you stand for. Are you going to come across as someone, are you very quiet and reserved in real life? Is that what you're going to be on social media? Are you an introvert, extrovert? Are you loud? Are you brash? Are you super Christian? Are you very liberal? Are you pro this or pro that? You know what I mean? Like all that sort of stuff is way more important than your logo or your colors. I mean, I have colors. I generally just use this bright pink and white, and I can't be bothered beyond that because honestly, a logo doesn't matter, especially when you're in the building phase. If you get to a point where you're a super established business and you need to have a logo, then fine. But most people, when I go on their websites, especially if you're in the service-based online type business, you don't have a logo because it's just not necessary. Unless maybe if you're like an agency or something, you want to have a logo, but again, like it doesn't really matter. It's more so your brand identity that matters more than your colors and your logo. I think a lot of people want to go, oh, I'm going to start a business, I need a logo first. And it's like, no, you need to develop your brand identity. You need to create your ideal client avatar. You need to create your value proposition. All those sort of things, and your brand identity and core values and all of that are way more important than a logo and colors. Anyone else? Did you hear that, Michelle?
No, I didn't hear what somebody said.
No, I was saying, did you hear the end of what I said?
Oh, yes, I did. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Anyone else? I think people are being shy. There was a lot of questions, a lot of replies and questions that came through on the emails Kelsey sent.
Yeah.
All right, guys, if there are no more questions, thank you so much for coming today. I hope that you learned so much. I hope that you got immense value from this training. Like I said, Kelsey's going to send out the slides and she will send out the recording of this, as well as a workbook that I created that will help you to brainstorm your content ideas and all that kind of stuff so that you can establish your brand online. As I said a little while ago, if you go to my website, mikaelaian.com//links, LINKS, I have a lot of free resources that you can download. Additionally, if you're interested in working with me further, my services are on my website as well, so you'll be able to check that out. And then finally, I do have a free live training coming up next month, and it's all about how to use video to increase your sales. So if you're interested in that, let me know and I can send you the link so that you can register for that. That's going to be really good. I can't wait for that. But if there's no other questions, then I will head off. I can wait another minute or so. I don't see a question box. Kelsey, can you see if any questions came in?
Okay, 1 second. I will just go through them.
I think I accidentally
We
deleted.
had a lot of thank you notes, so well done, Mikaela. But yeah, no questions in the question box.
Okay.
But we will send everybody the slides, and if you come up with any questions at a later date, just let us know.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you spending the last hour and change with me. I hope you learned so much.
Thank you, Mikaela.
You're welcome.